Hi, today we're going to talk about external dependencies and use cases. We've already scoped our threat modeling effort. We've already kicked off the effort. We've defined the roles that we need. We've defined data that is involved in the system. We have identified the major system components of the system, and we've come to an understanding of business objectives. Now what we need to do is we need to understand external dependencies, and we need to start specifying our use cases. So external dependencies, take a look at this. Let's just say this is a real simple system that you have. This is an iPhone or a BlackBerry that's connected to a BlackBerry Enterprise server, which then connects to an app server. This is just a normal old client that's logging into a web server and then to an app server. This is an upstream system that sends a feed to our app server every night at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's pushed here, and this is a downstream system that receives data from us. So we master some data for this downstream system. This upstream system masters data for us, right? And it's necessary for us to do the job that we're trying to do here, right? There's our database that comes off of our app server. So an external dependency is an upstream system or a downstream system that we don't have control over and that we can't control, but that somehow will influence us, right? So this upstream system, we don't have control over that. Maybe that's a feed from another company that we get because we purchased the feed, but we don't actually control the feed. So you probably at some point want to then say, well, we're going to understand that feed, but we're going to draw the line here, and we're going to say that this is the line for our threat modeling efforts. So an upstream system or a downstream system is an external dependency. Use cases. Use cases are simply ways in which actors or users interact with our system to achieve something of value, right? That doesn't mean monetary value, but something that's useful to them. Use cases in threat modeling are not the same as use cases in the UML. A UML use case is very specific. It's focused. A threat modeling use case is higher level, right? So a threat modeling use case might be something like user logs in to apply for credit, right? We don't specify all the details about that like we would in a UML use case. We'd have to know preconditions, postconditions, paths that aren't allowed, alternate paths, and all those kinds of things. If it was a UML use case, we don't have to know that here. What we have to know is user, component that they interact with, and data that flows through that component, right? And that's all we need to know about the use cases. Now, in one of the three methodologies that we've discussed before, the enterprise threat modeling methodology, we actually do ask for a lot more detail on the use cases because we find it useful later. But the two Microsoft threat modeling methodologies do, their use cases are very high level. Okay? So now we understand external dependencies and we understand use cases. Next we come to threats, and we'll talk about that next time.